The silence of deep space was endless, broken only by the faint hum of dying stars. In the middle of this forgotten battlefield, wrecks of ships floated like tombstones of a war no one remembered. Among them, a strange cocoon was hidden, pulsing with a dim green glow. Inside the cocoon, a man opened his eyes, his chest rose sharply as if he was drowning in air after centuries of sleep. His name was Captain Eric Kane, a soldier of the human fleet. His last memory was fire chaos and the screaming alarms of his battleship as it was torn apart by alien weapons. He gasped, breaking through the cocoon shell. Sticky alien fluids clung to his skin, his breath ragged. He fell to the floor of the ruined ship, coughing hard. Every muscle ached as if it remembered battles long lost. Eric looked around. The ship was not as he remembered. The walls were covered with alien vines, metallic and alive, glowing faintly. The technology was strange, a fusion of human design and alien corruption. He touched the wall, and it pulsed like a living thing. Confusion gripped him. How long had he been here? Where were his men? He looked for his communicator. It was cracked and dead, but when he pressed the button, a faint signal flickered. He saw the date and froze. 3 centuries had passed. The war he had fought was still marked in the airwaves, static whispers of distress calls, coded signals, broken words from human fleets. They were still fighting. The same war, the same enemy. Eric's mind raced. Humanity should have won or lost long ago. But if signals still existed, it meant the war was not finished. He was not just late to the battle. He had overslept the nightmare. His body felt strange, his muscles stronger, his senses sharper. He could see tiny details in the broken ship around him. He could hear faint movements in distant corridors. Something inside him had changed. The cocoon had done something to him. He stumbled to his feet, each step heavy. He remembered his oath as a soldier, to protect humanity, to never surrender. But was there even humanity left to protect? A sound echoed through the corridor, a clicking mechanical alien. His instincts sharpened. He grabbed a broken metal pipe, holding it like a weapon from the shadows. A drone crawled forward, its body half metal, half flesh, glowing eyes fixed on him. Eric's heart pounded. He had seen these drones before. Alien patrol units, merciless hunters, but this one looked older, upgraded, deadlier. It lunged at him with sharp limbs. Eric swung the pipe, striking the drone's head. Sparks flew. The machine screeched. He struck again, his arms fueled by strength he did not understand. The drone fell, twitching until its light faded. Breathing hard, Eric stared at the wreck. He had killed it, faster than he thought possible. He looked at his hands, trembling. His body was no longer just human. The cocoon had changed him into something else. He didn't know if this was a gift or a curse. He walked deeper into the wreck, finding old consoles. Some still worked. He wiped the dust and powered one on. The screen flickered, showing data archives. He read them quickly. The records confirmed his fear. Humanity was still fighting, but barely. Colonies were scattered, fleets shattered. The aliens had grown stronger, deadlier, and in secret, they had kept him here, trapped in their cocoon, kept alive for some reason he could not yet understand. Eric clenched his fist. The aliens had stolen 300 years of his life. They had taken his friends, his ship, his time. He would not let them take humanity too. The console crackled. A human distress beacon played faintly. Resistance fleet. Under attack coordinates. The message broke into static, but the meaning was clear. Humanity was still out there, still fighting, still calling for help. Eric looked out through the cracked hull at the endless stars. His eyes burned with new fire. He was a soldier out of time, a man who had slept through centuries, but now he was awake, and the war was still raging. He whispered to himself, "Then I fight again." Eric Kane walked through the dead corridors of the ruined ship. His boots echoed against the hollow metal, every step reminding him of the centuries he had lost. The air was stale, filled with the bitter smell of dust and alien growth. Strange glowing vines twisted across the walls like veins of some living creature. He felt as if the ship itself was watching him. His body ached, but at the same time felt alive in a way he had never known. His senses were sharper, his eyes could see in the dark, his ears caught the faintest hum of energy deep in the wreck. he realized that the cocoon had not only preserved him, it had changed him. Memories of his last battle haunted him. He remembered the blinding lights of alien cannons tearing through human cruisers, the screams of his crew as fire swallowed the halls. He remembered ordering his men to abandon ship, to fight another day. And then, nothing, only darkness, then awakening here, centuries later. He stopped at a broken window, staring into space. Once this sector was filled with warships, fleets burning across the stars. Now it was only graveyards, shattered metal floating endlessly. But one truth burned clear. Humans were still alive, still resisting. He had heard the faint beacon, the call for help. The question stabbed his mind. Why had the aliens kept him alive? He was no one special, just a soldier. Yet they had trapped him in that cocoon, preserved him for 300 years. Was he an experiment, a prisoner, or a weapon they had planned to use? A low hum pulled him from his thoughts. He turned quickly, pipe still in his hand. Another drone crawled from the shadows, this one larger, its limbs sharper, its glowing red eyes locked on him. Eric's pulse quickened. He stepped back. The drone leaped forward with lightning speed. Its claw tore through the air. Eric blocked with the pipe. Sparks flying, he spun and smashed the side of its body. His strength was unnatural, his movements faster than before. The fight was over in seconds. The drone's head crushed against the wall. He stood over the broken machine, chest heaving. The truth became clearer. He was different, stronger, faster, built for survival. The cocoon had rebuilt him, turned him into something beyond human. But doubt filled him. Was he still the man he once was, or just a puppet of alien design? He searched deeper into the ship, moving past twisted corridors and shattered bulkheads. At last he reached the command chamber. The captain's chair lay broken, consoles dark. Yet when he touched a screen, it flickered faintly to life. His heart pounded as he scrolled through data logs. The last recorded entry was chilling, a message from centuries ago. Alien swarm, overwhelming fleet. Fallback impossible. Experimental containment activated. The words froze him. He realized the cocoon was no accident. His own people had agreed to it. Humans had used alien biotech they barely understood. They had trapped him inside, hoping to preserve him, to build something more. Maybe they wanted a soldier who could survive centuries. Maybe they wanted a weapon strong enough to turn the tide. Anger surged. They had betrayed him, stolen his life. Yet another thought struck him harder. If they had gone so far, it meant humanity had been desperate, so desperate they would gamble with lives just to fight back. The console crackled. A map appeared, showing faint signals of human colonies, scattered across the galaxy like sparks in the dark. Most were marked destroyed. Some blinked weakly with distress codes. Eric's jaw tightened. Humanity had survived, but barely. He stared at the map, fire in his eyes. He could not undo the years he had lost. He could not change what had been done to him. But he could fight. He could answer that beacon. He could remind humanity that even one soldier could still make a difference. The ship groaned as power flickered again. Shadows shifted. Eric knew he could not stay here. The aliens would return. They would sense his escape. If they had preserved him, they would not let him go so easily. He tightened his grip on the pipe, looking out the cracked hull at the endless stars. He was no longer just Captain Eric Kane, forgotten soldier of a lost fleet. He was something more, forged by time, betrayal, and alien design. And as long as he still breathed, the war was not over. Eric left the dead ship behind. Moving through the wreckage of the battlefield, he scavenged what little gear he could. Broken armor plates, a cracked visor, a pack with dried emergency rations. The alien cocoon had given him strength, but he was still only one man against an entire galaxy. He needed weapons, he needed allies. The stars stretched endless before him. Ships floated in silence, some human, some alien, all torn open like graves. His stolen shuttle drifted past them, each broken hull a memory of the war that never ended. Eric's eyes stayed sharp. He knew he was not alone out here. Hours passed in the void until the sensors flickered. A faint movement. No, several drones, patrol units, sleek alien machines with wings of steel and eyes glowing red. They spread like hunters across the dark, searching, their signals locked onto his shuttle. Eric cursed under his breath. His hands moved over the controls. The shuttle was old, patched together from wrecks. It had no proper weapons, no shields, only speed, and even that was failing, the drones closed in fast. The first beam of energy sliced across the shuttle, shaking it violently. Eric gritted his teeth, pulling hard on the controls. The shuttle spun between drifting wrecks, slipping through the narrow gaps. The drones followed without hesitation, their claws extended, ready to tear him apart. One slammed against the side of the shuttle, claws digging through the hull. Eric grabbed the pipe, the only weapon he had. He lunged at the drone through the broken panel. Sparks exploded as he smashed its core. The machine screeched and fell into the void, torn apart. But more were coming. He could hear their sharp metallic cries, feel the shuttle tearing apart. He had to make a choice, stay and die, or abandon ship. His eyes burned with fire. He chose survival. He slammed the release. The escape hatch burst open. Vacuum sucked him into the dark. His body twisted in zero gravity. But his enhanced strength let him control his movement. He aimed for the nearest wreck, a half-broken alien frigate, and launched himself across the void. The drones followed, their red eyes glowing like demons in the dark. Eric landed hard on the wreck. Rolling across twisted metal, he rose fast. Pipe in hand, the first drone leapt at him, claws slashing. He dodged and struck its neck, crushing it in one blow. Another came from behind. He spun, grabbed its limb, and ripped it free with unnatural strength. Sparks flew as the machine screamed. He drove the broken limb into its chest. Ending it, his heart pounded, his mind raged. He was fighting not just with skill, but with something more, something the cocoon had burned into his blood. But the drones were endless. For each one he broke, two more appeared, crawling across the wreck. He moved like a storm, smashing, tearing, slamming metal against metal. His breaths came hard. His arms dripped with alien fluids. Yet he kept fighting, refusing to fall. At last the final drone collapsed, sparks fading. Silence returned to the wreck. Eric stood among the broken machines, chest heaving. His body shook with exhaustion, but inside him a strange power still burned. He was not the same man who had entered the cocoon. He was something else. He sat against the cold metal, staring at the stars. The drones had found him easily. That meant the aliens were watching. They knew he had awakened. They had not forgotten him. He was not a lost soldier. He was part of their plan. The thought haunted him. Did they create him as a weapon to be unleashed? Did they expect him to turn against his own people? He clenched his fists, rage burning. He would never serve them. He was human, no matter what they had done to him. A faint signal broke the silence. His communicator crackled again. This time it was stronger, a human voice, broken but alive. Resistance outpost, Sector 9. Need reinforcements, aliens closing in. Then static. Eric rose, gripping the pipe. His path was clear. Humanity was still out there, still calling for help. He would find them. He would fight with them, no matter what the aliens had planned, no matter what they had done to him. He looked at the wreckage of the drones, then out to the stars. His voice was low, steady. You try to make me your weapon, but I will use your gift against you. With fire in his eyes, Eric Kane set his course. The forgotten soldier was no longer lost. He was awake, alive, and ready for war. The shuttle Eric had stolen drifted into a new sector. Its engines sputtered, patched together with desperation. Every light on the console flickered like a dying flame. Outside, the viewport stretched, a galaxy scarred by centuries of war. Whole planets burned, their surfaces cracked open like broken bones. Space itself carried the smell of ashes. Eric tightened his grip on the controls. His eyes scanned the map he had stolen from the ruined frigate. The faint beacon pulsed again. Weak but alive, humanity was still clinging to survival, scattered across the stars. Each signal was like a spark in a dark storm, fragile but unbroken. He leaned back in the chair, exhaustion heavy in his body. The cocoon had changed him, but it had not given him rest. His mind was torn between anger and duty. His people had abandoned him centuries ago, yet they were still fighting, still calling for help, still refusing to die. The shuttle's sensors beeped. A massive shadow appeared on the edge of space. Eric leaned forward, heart pounding. It was not human. The shape was too sharp, too cruel. The alien fleet stretched like a black tide across the stars. Their warships gleamed with unnatural light, their hulls alive with writhing biometal. Eric cursed under his breath. They were moving in the same direction as the beacon. They knew where the resistance was, and they were going to crush it. He pushed the shuttle into stealth mode, drifting closer to the alien armada. The sight stole his breath. Dozens of ships, maybe hundreds, all in perfect formation, their engines pulsing like a single living creature. In the center, a massive flagship glowed with sickly green light. Eric's hands trembled. The last time he had seen an alien fleet like this, humanity had been torn apart. Now they were stronger, larger, more merciless. How could the scattered remnants of humanity hope to survive against such power? A sudden jolt shook the shuttle. Eric's head snapped up. An alien probe had detected him. Its body slithered across the hull like a serpent, claws scraping metal. Red eyes burned through the glass. Eric grabbed his weapon and slammed against the console. The shuttle rolled violently, shaking the creature loose, but alarms screamed. The fleet had noticed. Eric's breath came sharp. He could not fight them. Not here, not now. He pulled hard on the controls. The shuttle broke away. Engines burning, the fleet erupted with beams of green fire, each one tearing holes through the stars. He weaved desperately, dodging, twisting, the heat of plasma passing inches from his hull. The beacon's signal grew stronger. He was close, but so was the enemy. He had no choice. He had to reach the humans before the fleet did. He had to warn them. At last, the shuttle broke into a shattered system. A planet below glowed with faint lights, human lights. A hidden colony dug deep into the surface. Eric's heart pounded with hope. He had found them. But hope turned quickly to dread. Behind him, the alien fleet poured into the system like a storm, their weapons already charging. Eric slammed the communicator. Resistance outpost. This is Captain Eric Kane, human fleet. 3 centuries out of time. You're under attack. Prepare defenses. I am coming in. For a moment, there was only static. Then a voice answered, shocked and broken. Captain Kane? That name is history. How? How are you alive? Eric's jaw tightened. There's no time. The aliens are here. You fight or you die. The colony below flickered with activity. Shields rising. Weapons powering up. Eric felt a surge of pride. Even after centuries, humanity still refused to kneel. But the truth struck hard. The resistance was small, their weapons old. Against the alien fleet, they had no chance, unless Eric could give them something. Unless he could be the weapon fate had turned him into. He gripped the pipe, eyes burning with fire. The cocoon had taken his life, but it had given him strength. If this was his purpose, then he would use it. Not for the aliens who made him, not for the commanders who abandoned him, but for humanity. The first beams rained down from the alien fleet, tearing into the planet's shields. Explosions lit the dark. Eric's shuttle screamed as he dove into the chaos. His voice rang across the communicator. This war isn't over. Not while I still breathe. And with that, the forgotten soldier entered the fire once more. The battlefield burned below as Eric's shuttle tore through the smoke of war. Alien beams slashed across the skies, striking the colony's shields. Each blast shook the ground like an earthquake. Humanity's defenses cracked with every second. Eric landed hard in the resistance outpost. The bay doors slammed shut behind him. Soldiers rushed forward, their faces pale and weary. Their armor was mismatched, their weapons old. They stared at him as if he were a ghost. One soldier stepped closer. Captain Eric Kane? That name is from the old wars, from legends. Eric pulled off his cracked visor. His eyes burned with unnatural light. His voice was steady. Not legend. I'm real, and I'm here to fight. The commander of the outpost approached, a woman scarred and hardened by years of battle. If you are who you say you are, then you've been gone for centuries. Why now? Why return when humanity is on its last breath? Eric looked around at the soldiers, the broken walls, the fire outside. Because the war never ended, because I was trapped, changed, rebuilt by the enemy. And because humanity still fights, if there's even one human left standing, then the war is not lost. The commander studied him, then nodded slowly. Then fight with us, but know this, without a miracle, we will all die here. Eric tightened his grip on the metal pipe. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Then maybe I am that miracle. Moments later, the walls shook again. Alien troops stormed the surface, their bodies armored with living metal. Their weapons pulsed with sickly green energy. The humans opened fire, bullets tearing into the first wave, but the aliens pressed forward, relentless. Eric charged into the fray. His movements were faster than the human eye could follow. He leapt into the air, pipe raised, and smashed it down onto an alien's skull. The impact cracked armor like glass. The alien collapsed in a heap. Another lunged at him, claws slashing. Eric caught its arm mid-swing, twisted, and ripped it free from its body. Sparks and green fluid sprayed across the ground. He swung the severed limb like a blade, cutting through two more enemies in a single motion. The soldiers behind him stared in shock. He was not just a man, not just a soldier, he was something more. The battle raged, and Eric kept fighting. His strength seemed endless. His wounds healed faster than they should. His senses warned him before every attack. It was as if the cocoon had rebuilt him for this exact moment. But inside his chest, a shadow grew. Was he still human? Or had the aliens planted something deeper inside him? A command he had not yet heard. A purpose he did not yet know. When the last alien fell, silence returned for a moment. The soldiers cheered weakly, relief in their voices. Eric stood over the corpses, breathing hard. His pipe dripped with alien fluids. His eyes glowed like embers in the dark. The commander approached, her expression a mix of awe and fear. "You fight like no man I have ever seen. What are you?" Eric's voice was low, steady. "I am human, but they tried to make me more. They wanted a weapon, and maybe that's what I am now." He looked out at the burning skies. "But I choose how that weapon is used, not them." The commander nodded, though unease lingered in her eyes. "Then we will use that choice well. We are planning a strike against the alien fleet, but with what little we have, it is suicide. Unless you are with us, unless you lead us." Eric clenched his fists. He had been betrayed by his commanders long ago, cocooned and abandoned. But here, among these desperate fighters, he felt the old fire of humanity again. He would not abandon them. He turned back to the soldiers, their tired eyes now filled with fragile hope. "You will not die in silence. We will strike. We will show them humanity is not broken. And I will stand at the front. I will be the blade they forged, but I will cut for us." The soldiers roared, their voices echoing through the battered halls. For the first time in centuries, hope flickered in the darkness. Eric lifted his weapon high, eyes blazing. The aliens had tried to turn him into their tool, but instead, they had given humanity a new weapon, a weapon that could bleed, fight, and inspire. The forgotten soldier was no longer just fighting to survive. He was fighting to win. The resistance outpost shook under another wave of bombardment. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sparks rained from broken wires, and the air stank of smoke and blood. Outside, the alien fleet hung in the sky like a storm, endless and merciless. Eric stood in the war room, surrounded by commanders and soldiers. A flickering hologram displayed the battlefield. The human defenses were thin, shields failing, weapons almost dry. They had hours left, maybe less. The commander, her voice grim but steady, pointed to the glowing alien flagship. "That is their heart. Destroy it, and the rest of the fleet will scatter, but we don't have the power to even reach it." Eric studied the map, his jaw tightened. "Then we make the power. You have fighters, bombers, old war machines buried in these hangars. They may be broken, but they can still fly. We don't need a fleet, we just need one strike, precise and furious." A young soldier shook his head. "Even if we reach the flagship, its shields are impossible. Nothing human has ever pierced them." Eric's eyes burned with fire. "Then I will pierce them. They rebuilt me with their own design. Their shield was made for enemies like you, not for something like me." The room went silent. Soldiers stared at him, some with awe, some with doubt. The commander nodded slowly. "If you are right, then you will lead the charge. If you are wrong, humanity dies tonight." Eric gripped the edge of the table. Humanity has been dying for 3 centuries. Tonight, We make them bleed instead. Hours later, the hangars came alive. Fighters were dragged from the dust of history, patched with scrap metal and prayers. Pilots climbed into cockpits, their faces pale but determined. Eric stood at the front, armored in scavenged gear, his pipe reforged into a blade crackling with alien energy. The soldiers watched him. Some whispered his name like a myth reborn. He had become more than a man. He was a symbol. The launch began. Engines roared. The resistance rose into the skies. The alien fleet turned like predators sensing prey. Their weapons lit the heavens green. Eric's fighter streaked through the chaos, his reflexes sharper than the machine itself. He dodged beams, rolled between fire, cut paths through death itself. The cocoon's gift burned in his veins, guiding his every move. He slammed the communicator, his voice cutting through the static. Stay close, strike hard. We hit the heart or we die here. The resistance followed, broken machines flying with desperate courage. Behind them, the planet burned, but ahead of them was the chance to change everything. Alien interceptors swarmed, sleek and fast. Eric dove into them, his blades slashing through cockpits, ships exploding in fire. His speed was unreal, his body moving faster than thought. He was the spear point of humanity. One by one, his comrades fell. Fireballs lit the sky. Each loss stabbed his heart, but still the survivors pressed on, driven by his fire. At last, the flagship loomed before them, a mountain of steel and biometal, its shield shimmering like liquid light. The resistance unleashed everything. Missiles, torpedoes, energy blasts, but nothing pierced it. The shield burned everything away. The commander's voice broke through the comms, heavy with despair. We cannot break it. Eric, it's impossible. Eric's grip tightened on the controls. His eyes glowed with rage and defiance. Nothing is impossible. He dove straight at the flagship. His ship shook violently as alien fire slammed into it. Consoles burst into flames. Alarm screamed. But he did not stop. His veins burned with alien energy, his mind locked on the target. He roared across the comms. They made me their weapon. Now I will be the blade that cuts their heart. His fighter slammed against the shield. Sparks and fire exploded. The barrier rippled, resisting. But Eric's body glowed with unnatural light. His blood boiled with alien fire. He screamed and pushed harder, his ship tearing apart around him. The shield cracked. A single fracture spread across the massive barrier. The resistance saw it. Their hope ignited. Missiles and beams poured into the crack, widening it, tearing it open. Eric's ship was gone, consumed by fire, but his body broke through the shield, glowing like a burning star. He landed on the surface of the alien flagship, his blade alive with energy. Soldiers below screamed his name as the impossible became real. The last stand had begun. Eric stood on the alien flagship, fire and smoke swirling around him. His body glowed faintly, veins pulsing with the strange energy the cocoon had given him. Below his feet, the surface of a ship was alive, twisting and shifting like the flesh of a beast. The flagship was not just a machine. It was a living weapon. Voices whispered inside his mind, cold and alien. They were not sounds but commands, woven into his blood. You are ours. You are the weapon we made. You will finish what we began. Eric staggered, gripping his blade. His head throbbed as if torn in two. The cocoon had not only rebuilt his body, it had planted something deeper. The aliens had left a seed in him, a command waiting to bloom. The resistance fleet screamed across the comms. Captain Kane, the shield is broken. Strike now, destroy it. But another voice whispered louder inside his mind. Destroy the humans instead. Lead them to ruin. In their fight forever. Eric fell to his knees, fire burning in his chest. He saw visions. If he gave in, the humans would die, and the aliens would win. If he resisted, he might tear himself apart. He was no longer just man or machine. He was the balance between both. Alien soldiers poured from the flagship's core. Their bodies writhed with living armor. Their eyes glowed with the same sickly light burning in Eric's veins. They surrounded him, waiting not to kill him, but to see his choice. Eric rose slowly, his blade humming with power. His voice shook the air. I am not your weapon. The aliens hissed in unison. You are ours. Eric charged. His blade slashed through the first wave, sparks and blood exploding in every strike. His movements were more than human, faster, sharper, fueled by rage and defiance. The whispers in his head grew louder, demanding his obedience, but he drowned them out with every blow. He carved his way into the heart of the flagship. Soldiers of the Resistance saw his glow even from the planet below. To them, he was not just a fighter. He was a symbol of hope made flesh. At last, he reached the core, a massive pulsating heart of alien energy. It throbbed with life, feeding the entire fleet. The whispers screamed now, promising him power, immortality, a throne among the stars if he obeyed. Eric raised his blade. His body shook violently, torn between surrender and defiance. He thought of his crew from 3 centuries ago, the men and women who had died while he was trapped. He thought of the resistant soldiers who had fought beside him today, eyes burning with fragile hope. He thought of humanity, scarred but unbroken, still refusing to kneel after centuries of war. And then he roared, I choose humanity. He plunged the blade into the core. The entire flagship screamed as if alive. Energy exploded outward, fire tearing through its veins. The alien fleet shuddered, their ships breaking apart as the heart of their power died. One by one they fell, burning across the skies. The resistance below erupted with cheers. Hope lit their voices like thunder. Humanity had survived one more day. But at the center of the fire, Eric stood trembling. The energy burned through him. His body was not made to hold so much power. He felt his knees, smoke rising from his armor. His voice cracked through the comms. Fight on, never surrender. Humanity lives. The flagship collapsed in a storm of fire. The resistance escaped, watching as their enemy's greatest weapon turned into ashes. No body was found. Only silence remained. Yet stories spread across the stars. They spoke of a soldier from the past, reborn by the enemy, who chose to fight for his people. They called him the Forgotten Soldier, the Blade of Humanity. And in every corner of the galaxy where humans still survived, his name became a whisper of hope, a promise that no matter how long the war raged, humanity would never die.